Hello, my name is William Blevins, and I'm doing the history of horror films. The first horror films drew upon expressionism and spirit photography. The term horror didn't take hold until the 1930s. The first spook tale was The Happy Skeleton in 1895. In 1896, George Méliès made The Devil's Mansion. This was considered the first horror film. In 1919, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari appeared. This was the horror film, the one that kick-started the whole genre. In 1922, a film by the name of Nosferatu appeared, the very first vampire film. Murnau got into a legal dispute with Bram Stoker's widow afterwards. He lost and supposedly had all the prints destroyed. In the sound era of the 30s, we get the quintessential horror movies: Dracula, Frankenstein, King Kong, and The Mummy. If Caligari was considered the granddaddy of the genre, these would be considered the forefathers. The 40s gave rise to a different type of horror: the werewolf, the cat people. These were inward horrors shown in an exterior prose. The 40s showed a comical side of horror with Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The 50s saw the rise of the creature feature. The monster movies brought to life the atomic blasts. Notable films in this era included Godzilla and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. We also see crossovers with sci-fi. They Came from Outer Space and Plan 9 from Outer Space. Horror shifted in the 60s. The 60s had psychological thrillers. In comes the master, Alfred Hitchcock. His films like Psycho and The Birds defined what psychological thriller was. The 60s also saw the start of zombies, Night of the Living Dead, though most zombie movies since then have centered around the zombies and less about the social commentaries that made the original so great. The 70s were the nightmare paranoia era of horror films. Films in this era included Halloween and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Exorcist, and Carrie. The Exorcist was considered the scariest movie of all time. 80s coined the slasher films. Movies included Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, and The Evil Dead. Nightmare on Elm Street fed on the fears of sleep. Serial killers were the focus of the 90s. Silence of the Lambs, Natural Born Killers, Scream, and American Psycho. Movies that freaked you out by asking the question, are you even safe in your own town? Films in the 2000s shifted from towns and neighborhoods into global events. Serial killers were out and terrorism was in. The term gorefest and torture porn also became prevalent. Today, the home video horror is becoming popular. These films offer a sort of first-person view horror experience. It is clear to see that horror has been and always will be a popular genre of film. It is almost cathartic in a way, watching people overcome through adversity his or her own fears. After all, it was the king of horror who said very succinctly, "We make up horror to help us cope with the real ones."